So it's been a few weeks now since OpenClaw came out, and I wanted to make this video to tell you how I'm personally using it as a professional software developer. I'm going to go through my setup, the model selection, the tasks that I'm getting it to perform, and most importantly, how I'm keeping it secure and how I'm thinking about it going forward in the future. Okay, let's dive in and let's start with my overall setup. So you have probably seen a lot of tutorials online of people showing you how to set up the Claude bot or OpenClaw, and I can tell you, because I've watched many of them myself, many of them are just wrong, or if you do set it up that way, you are going to have massive security vulnerabilities. Now, I already made a full tutorial on how to do this, but my particular setup is very secure. I have this on a virtual private server. You can see I'm SSH'd into this right now. I've set this up using something called Tailscale, which is a virtual private network that only allows traffic from my computer or a computer or IP address that I authorize. And I've added a firewall to this server and made sure that the Claude bot or OpenClaw is only running on localhost so that it's not exposed to any external traffic. A lot of people set this up and they actually have their OpenClaw instance just listening on the public IP address of the server. That is horrible and very insecure. So in my case, because of how I've set this up, it doesn't appear in any scans. You can't ping it. You can't attempt to SSH into it. And it has a full blocking firewall on all traffic other than the traffic that comes from my particular computer. And that's the most important thing. You want to protect what's coming in. I've also set this up on another user that is not a root user, so you can see it's set up under the Tim user, which is a separate account with a separate password, so that it doesn't have access to all of the sudo commands and it can't tear itself apart, undo the firewall, all of that kind of stuff that you could do if this Claw bot was actually connected using the root user. Now, the last major part of this is that I have it connected using Telegram. You can see that I'm chatting with it right now. That is the main way that I interface with the agent or with the bot. I don't have any other integration connected to it in terms of being able to chat with it. And the reason I went with Telegram is because this to me is a little bit safer than connecting it to something like WhatsApp, where it kind of has your identity and your phone number, could maybe receive like a two-factor authentication code, for example. Telegram is an app I don't really use at all. So even if my Telegram were to get hacked for some reason, even though that wouldn't really happen here, it's not as big of a deal compared to something like WhatsApp. Now, one of the biggest issues that I realized when I started using this tool is that while it's super cool and you can run it 24/7, the model is really important. And if you connect this to a frontier model, it's literally going to make you go broke unless you do a ton of optimizations. So for a few minutes, I had this connected to Opus 4.5 before I checked the usage. And just in a few minutes, I had already spent a few dollars on the API, which was insane and put my burn rate at thousands of dollars per month. So I really quickly figured out a much more effective way to run this that's not quite as powerful, but that is 99% cheaper, and that is to connect it to a codex model. So you can actually connect this to your existing subscriptions, and you can use your subscription quota rather than having to connect this to just an API key, which I found is a lot more expensive. So in my case, I pay for ChatGPT Pro. This is $200 per month, very expensive, but it gives you practically unlimited limits of their new codex model, which is very good at coding and developing. In fact, I'd say it's actually better than Opus 4.5 in a lot of different tasks and is still really capable at reasoning. It's not as good at 4.5, but for 99% of tasks, it can achieve that and accomplish what you need. So you can see this is my usage so far using this for about a week. I'm not anywhere close to hitting my weekly usage. I'm not close to my daily usage, and I'm running this constantly. It's always running sub agents. It's always on. I have the heartbeat running all the time. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to be a power user of this, purchase something like the ChatGPT Pro subscription or the Plus or whatever, and just connect it to the codex model, which again has really, really high limits. Now, at the same time, I also connected this to my Claude subscription, which I pay $20 per month for, so that I can get access to the Opus models when I need it to do some advanced planning. So I have two models connected to this, and effectively what I tell it is, hey, whenever you have a really complex task, go and use Opus 4.5, but then fall back to Codex for everything else. And if you run out of usage in Opus 4.5 or with the Claude subscription, then just go back to Codex. So having that has given me really good results and allowed me to have the benefit of this great kind of planning execution model with Opus, but also with all of the coding capability, which is most of the stuff that I'm getting this model to do. So overall, yes, this is expensive, but it's way cheaper than if I was running it through the API. And there is a lot of optimizations you can make to the tool to ensure that it doesn't use as many credits, although I'm not going to dive into all of that right now. So I'm now going to dive into my integrations as well as what I'm actually getting this model to do. But just a quick break, as I want to tell you about boot.dev, which is one of the best learning platforms out there and one of my long-term partners. Now, one of the biggest problems that I see with people learning how to code is boredom. They watch tutorials, copy code, feel productive for a week, and then they quit. Now, boot.dev takes a completely different approach. It's very hands-on and honestly feels more like a game than a course. Now, you're learning back-end development by actually building things, not just watching videos. You work through real challenges in Python, SQL, and Go, earn XP, level up, fight bosses, and progress through a full back-end curriculum. Now, it sounds gimmicky, but it actually works because you're doing the same kind of problem solving that you do on the job. Now, they also have an AI tutor called Boots, which doesn't just dump answers on you, it asks follow-up questions and helps you reason through problems when you get stuck. Now, this is way closer to how you actually learn. Now, the best part is that all of the content is free to read and watch, and if you want the interactive coding, the progress tracking, and the AI help, then that's part of the paid plan. Now, if you want to check it out, go to boot.dev and use my code TechWithTim to get 25% off your first year. Big thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back into it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about integrations. Now, in order to make Claudebot or OpenClaw useful, you have to connect it to some different tools. Now, this is where this tool can become really insecure if you're connecting it to your personal Gmail account or your bank account or giving it a credit card, or you guys know the story, right? So what I did for my integrations here is I created a separate email account and I gave it access to essentially full kind of Google Drive, Google Calendar, Sheets, Gmail, etc. control of that account. Now, that's because a lot of stuff I do on a day-to-day basis involves using these various Google services, so I wanted it to be connected, but I didn't want it to be on my main accounts. Now, what I also did, because I still wanted it to be able to read information from my main accounts, is I set up email forwarding and certain copying rules and kind of automations from my main accounts to go to this secondary account. So for example, if someone emails me on one of my primary emails, I have some email filters for trusted domains and trusted senders, and I send those emails over to this email, which then the Claudebot or OpenClawbot, whatever, has access to, and then it can read. So effectively what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, I only want certain information to be sent here. So I set up its own Gmail account. I forward a bunch of emails over. And because I'm only forwarding the emails that are trusted senders, that means that I'm not going to be vulnerable to prompt injection attacks where some random person could send me an email, for example, with a prompt and have my Claudebot execute that. Now, what I also did is I blocked the ability for it to read any of the contents that were sent directly to its email. So it has its own email address that it can read, but if you send an email to that email and it's not forwarded from another address, then it's not actually capable of reading that. So that again, we're limiting the ability for external kind of information to get into the system that we don't want. Now, of course, I have it connected to a few APIs as well. And just for all of those APIs, I've set really strict API key limits as well as notifications. So for some reason, any data does get leaked, the damage is minimal. I can really quickly turn it off or rotate the keys, and there shouldn't be a massive problem. Okay, so with that in mind, what do I actually have this doing? Well, to be honest, I haven't gotten it to do too much so far because I've just been playing around with it for a few days, but already it's been super helpful at automating some really annoying tasks. So the first thing that I had this do is just create a custom dashboard, which you can see that I'm in right now, called the Ops Hub, so I can just keep track of everything in one place. Now, I just wanted to make sure that, first of all, I could monitor what this tool was doing, because when I first started using it, I found that it would do all kinds of weird stuff, and I wouldn't really know what's actually going on. So my first kind of task as a developer was to tell this, hey, give me some logging and monitoring, give me some observability into what's going on here so that I could actually, see what's happening. So I had it set up this Claudebot monitor where I'm able to see in real time all of the sub agents that it's running, any of the errors, so I can actually parse through and see what tools is it calling, what is it doing, what is it prompting, all of that kind of stuff. So I can see all of the past sessions. If I go into a session, you can see anything that it was doing in that session. I can view the logs, etc. And this is the first thing that I had to do so that I was able to see, okay, what's actually going on in real time to optimize the model. So for example, if I tell this, spin up 3 sub agents and start working on some tasks that are in the task log. So let's tell it that. If we wait a second here, I don't know if this is connected to a webhook. I might just have to refresh it here. But if I refresh it, we should see the subagents in a second get spun up as soon as it responds to my message. And we should see that we have some more sessions going. Okay, cool. So it just spun up one. You can see another one is here. Let's just refresh again, see if it gets another subagent. And there you go. There's another one going. And again, I can check into this, and in real time, I can kind of see the logs and see what's actually happening. So that's super important. Now, another thing I had to do is create a token usage thing for me so I can see all of the different stats of like how many tokens have I used, what's my quota, so that I don't have to go over to those websites. Now, I asked it to give me an estimate, on the price of what's going on for these sessions. I don't know if this is accurate, so I'm going to have to look into that later, but at least for the codex quota, that is working, and it's telling me, what the quota is for that. Continuing, obviously we have some notes. I haven't done anything there yet. And then another main task that I have this running is a constant research on YouTube for outlier videos as well as my main competitors. So I just told it some information about myself, and you can see that it's popping up a lot of coding channels that are very similar to mine that I can click into and that I can have some context on, so I can start kind of generating some ideas, getting some inspiration, etc. Then I also had to create daily YouTube reports. So for example, if I click into one of these here, it searches online for videos that are performing well relative to that channel, and then it gives me the results right here, and I can view the video, click into it, see the views per hour, which is really cool, which again is exactly what I need every single day as a YouTuber, so I can generate some ideas. I also had to create this YouTube operating system where I can have different ideas that I can star or keep track of so that I don't forget them. And it's pulling some of this information, from the YouTube reports that it generates every single day and that it sends me in the morning. Now, another main task that I have this running is accounting. So I get sent a lot of emails related to like receipts or payments or invoices or sponsorship deals or whatever. And it's a huge pain in the ass for me to actually kind of handle all of that accounting myself. Even if I have a bookkeeper, even if I have someone sitting in the email, I have to explain stuff to them. We still have to automate it, upload the files, whatever. So I spent a good amount of time essentially teaching this how my accounting process works, and now it just fully handles all of that for me. So what it will do is it will read through the emails that get forwarded, and again, I have filters on which ones are getting sent there. It will check if it's a receipt, if it's an expense, if it's a bank statement, if it's a contract, whatever, and it will automatically pull out all of the important information, log it in a Google Sheet, so we know all of the records of what's happening in terms of what money's coming in, what money's coming out. It will save PDFs, it will generate invoices, and I even added a skill where I can say, what is this? Invoice generator or something? Yeah, invoice maker, where I can just get it to generate an invoice for me and then automatically upload that to Google Drive, add it to my invoice tracking sheet, etc. Even previously, I had like a payment I just received. It automatically attached that to a previous invoice and then said, oh, this payment was for this invoice, and kept track of it, which usually takes me a long time to do. So here it's just showing like a quick log of some of the stuff that it's done. And then if I go, I have this AI accounting Google Drive that it's connected to, where if we click into it, I don't want to, expose myself, but you can see we have like reporting, payments, invoices, expenses. And then if we go to, there's like a transaction log, it will show all of the stuff that's happening. Generally, it's giving me like, a line by line log of all of the transactions per month, per day, etc. Now, I also have just like a basic task tracker. So I have like some videos that I'm working on. So I just put them here, and then, I can see them and ask the bot to update them, whatever. And then what I've done is I created this full to-do Kanban board for it. Well, it created it because I asked it just to make it, so that we can track what it's working on at any point in time. We can just create like a long list of tasks that the bot's going to pick up. And then in the heartbeat file, I have it so that every 30 minutes, it will go and it will just spin up multiple sub-agents to pick up these different tasks, work on them in parallel, and then put them in the done tab as soon as they're finished. We also have a full activity log, so I can see everything that it's doing and what's going on, although I want to improve that. And this, I think, is the most important part, because by having it build these systems, you can just get it to do more and more. I'm at the point where I'm trying to just use as many tokens as I can because I have such a high limit from the OpenAI Pro plan. So I need this to constantly be running. And one way that I found was really effective to do that is to have this kind of tracking sheet where we don't need to keep asking it to do something. We just once tell it, hey, do this, right? Add, 500 tasks to the to-do list, and then it just picks it up automatically based on what I've told it to do every single day. So that's like the main operational hub. I have a few other ones that are kind of private that I don't want to get into. And then, of course, we have the, kind of like gateway access here. And I'll just show you that in terms of skills, I have connected it to a bunch of different skills. So it has the ability to do the coding, right? To connect to the Claw Hub, GitHub, of course it has GitHub. And actually, that's one thing I'll show you that I forgot, is that I created a separate GitHub account for it. So how do I change my account here? Yeah, so Tech with Tim, Claudebot. And I told it all of the code that you write, automatically put it inside of GitHub and store it in my organization so that I'm able to see all of the code that you're working on at any point in time and that I have it all saved on GitHub. So that's another task or thing that I got it to do. And then what else was I going to show you? Yeah, if we go here, bunch of other skills, right? PDF reader, image gen, all of that kind of stuff. And then if we go to the crons, I have it set up with some different crons where it automatically is logging like sponsorship contacts, doing the AI accounting triage, doing the YouTube outlier research, and then doing daily self-improvement every single day and looking at the different skills and tasks from the backlog. There's some other stuff going on, but generally that's how I've set it up. And by no means am I like a full power user on this. I haven't spent like 30 hours configuring it, but I've been able to get really good results. And so far it's been extremely useful and also secure, which is the important part. So that's why I wanted to share it with you. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of you watching this that have done way more than I have with this tool. By no means am I claiming to be an expert. I just wanted to honestly show you what I'm actually using it for, what it's been useful for. In my case, it's been pretty cool. Is it life-changing? No, I wouldn't say so, but it's definitely saving me some time, and I'm really excited to continue to use this, to continue to have it to learn more about me, and just to start building out its capabilities because it is capable of coding quite well and building a lot of automations and scripts, which is really saving me a lot of time automating tasks that normally I wouldn't want to code out myself or even go into Cursor or something and, prompt the AI to do. Anyways, guys, that's all I had for you in this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.